Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Govardhan, Jaya Govardhan, Govardhan, Jaya Govardhan. Say Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Damodar, Radha Damodar Shri Radhe. Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Play Mridanga? Yeah. Not funny rhythms. Straight. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Radha, Damodara Radha, Damodara Sri Radhe. Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori, Jaya Kishore Kishori. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Namo Vishnu Padhaja Krishna Presthaja Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirve Shesha Sunyavade Pashati Adeshatarine. Prabhupada. Hey, fine. Kiba Jayo Jaya Gaura Chander Arati ko Shobha. Gaura, Gaura. Janabhitata bhane Jagamana lobha Kibadaki nenitai chan Bamme gadadhara Nikateya dvaita srini Basa Chatradhara Kivabosi Ache Gaurachan Ratnasimasane Arati Korena Brahma Adi Devagane Kiva Narahari Adi Kori Chamaradulaja Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosadigaja Kiva Shankar Baje Ganta Baje Baje Karatala Baje Madhura Mridhanga Bhage Paramarasala Kibabaho Koti Chandrajini Badana Ujala Gala Dese Banamala Kore Jalamala Shiva Shiva Sukha Naradha Preme Gada Gadha Bhakati bhi nodha dekhe Paramarasala Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaja Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirve Shesha Sunyabadi Pashatya Deshatarine Prabhupada Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan
His 15, he said something.
Sri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Kalindi Jamuna Jaya Jaya Mahavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. बोलो श्री गिरिराज महाराज की, श्री गिरिराज महाराज की, श्री गिरिराज महाराज की, मिठाई गौरा प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकचर्य अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमाद His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Their most beautiful Lordship Shishikishore Kishori ki. Paramakaruna, their most merciful Lordship Shishi Gauranitai ki. Their most merciful Lordship Sri Jagannath Sivaladev Shrimati Shubhadra Maharani ki, Sri Sri Radha Damodara ki, Sri Kartik Brata ki, Sri Govardhan Puja Mahamahotsava ki, Sri Govinda Hari ki, Sri Giriraj Maharaj ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishiguru and Shiguranga.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome to this festival of Govardhan Giri Govardhan ki Jai. So today is Govardhan Puja and also Diwali celebration. So a few announcements before we go on. So please, because we are going to have a lot of new people coming in today, and also a lot of people will be circumambulating this Govardhan hill. So please keep your masks on. We request you all to please keep your masks on because you want to be safe, for all our residents here and also for our guests. The idea is even if one person gets a COVID here, the whole temple will close. So we don't want to do that. So please, please, please keep your masks on. Also, after the Govardhan celebration, at 8 o'clock, we will have some fireworks outside for the kids. Those who are interested, please collect the fireworks from the gift shop. Gift shop. All the adults should accompany their kids. So the responsibility is on the adults, whoever the parents are. So please be with your kids when the fireworks are happening. But you can get those from the gift shop out there. Yeah, so and for today's talk, festival talk, we have His Holiness Romapad Maharaj. We are very fortunate to be here. Please welcoming with Hari Bol. Hari Bol! So he has been a very, a long well-wisher for our community here. And so many of you know him. So please, pay full attention to his lecture within this presentation here. Hare Krishna. Yeah, a quick announcement for the parents. So those kids who are under 12, if they're getting restless, please take them out, or you can take them in the basement. We will have some Sunday school teachers. No, no Sunday school. Okay. Yeah. So, but please keep them supervised so that they don't disturb the class here. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Mass Dhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Nandana Brajajanaran Jasodanandana Brajajanarandana Brajajanaran Jamunatira Vanam Chadi Tira Vanacha Jamana Tira Vanam Chadi Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Vallabha Girivada Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dhari Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Tira Jamanatira Vanachadi Tira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Harivedika Charita Astatara Satasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaura Premanandi. While I'm getting ready, this has been one of those days for me. My hard drive crashed today. And when I heard that announcement about the masks, I wouldn't want to have a bad thing happen, another bad thing happen today. So those of you that have a mask, wear it. And those of you that don't have a mask, get one. Because I'd hate to see the temple get closed down because we're not wearing masks and somebody gets COVID. And that would be really bad. That'd be really bad. So please follow that request. Not been a good day, I'll tell you. Except one good thing, it's Govardhan Puja. And Govardhan Puja, for me, next to Krishna Janmashtami, it's the most wonderful festival of the year. And it's, diminished by the pandemic situation. But still, there's many things about the Govardhan Leela that are very, very special. And I'll just mention a few of them before we get started. And one of them is I see everybody's wearing a mask. That's a really good thing. And it's an opportunity that Krishna has to satisfy the desires of all the residents of Vrindavan, because the nature of Krishna's pastimes is during the different times of the day, there's this nice saying in Sanskrit, Ashta Kaliya Leela, at 8 times of the day, he's with different groups of his devotees. And when those groups of the devotees are with Krishna, they're very happy. But those that are not with Krishna are feeling separation. And they wish to have unbroken association with Krishna, but then others would not get their association too. So the flow of his pastimes continues. So this is a situation where Krishna is showing, this is the wonderful part, one of the most wonderful parts, is simultaneously all the devotees are with Krishna 24/7, at least for 7. days, uninterruptedly. They're with Krishna. And they're very pleased and he's very pleased, and that makes it a wonderful festival. And then one of the other qualities of Krishna is that when Krishna does one thing, he's simultaneously achieving multiple things. It's one of the qualities mentioned in Nectar Devotion. When doing one thing, multiple things. So the multiple things, along with giving everyone association, he's helping his dear devotee, Indra, become free from pride. And it's designed like that, to give Indra an opportunity to become free from pride. Because Krishna doesn't like pride in the hearts of his devotees. And Indra's a devotee. Indra is not just a resident of heaven, but he's the king of heaven. So he's a very special devotee. But he sometimes becomes proud. And when he gets proud, he does bad stuff. So he does bad stuff in this pastime, but Krishna curbs his pride. Another wonderful feature that Krishna is doing is he's showing us that Govardhan is not different than himself. And he exhibits the pastime, demonstrating it. In fact, in the pastime, Krishna comes and bows before Hari, who declares, I am Govardhan. And he pays his obeisances, and everybody pays their obeisances, because Govardhan is not different than Krishna. And another is he's exhibiting his divinity. So if somebody claims that they're God, you just ask them, can you lift Govardhan Hill? Like Krishna's showing Arjuna his universal form. Can you show me your universal form? Prabhupada gave an answer. If they say, yes, I can, but you don't have the eyes to see. And then you can say, Prabhupada, and then you can say to that person, have any of your disciples seen? And if you don't have the capacity to have your disciples see, then you're not Krishna. Because Krishna was able to show to Arjuna. And Sanjaya also saw, because he narrated it. So, Govardhan Leela is a very special Leela. Let's begin by describing how Giriraj descends into this world. Because, as we know, the spiritual world has its material counterpart in this world. And in Garga Samhita, there's a nice description, I'll keep it simple. Krishna smiling. Radharani turns and sees Krishna smiling and wants to know, what are you meditating upon? Very soon, I'll be descending into the material world and performing my wonderful pastimes with all my associates and those that are joining my associates to get training in a life of devotion. And Radharani starts to cry. And he asks, why are you crying? He said, I won't be able to bear your association. She says it twice. I will be unable to maintain my life without you. Krishna says, don't worry, you're coming. I wouldn't go without you. And then she says to Krishna, how can we go without Govardhan Hill and the river Jamuna and the forest of Vrindavan? And Krishna says, an arrangement has already been made. And then it goes on to describe the arrangement. The arrangement was Dronachala, who resides in Shamali Dweep. Where's Shamali Dweep? You ever heard of Shamali Dweep? You have to read the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam to find out where Shamali Dweep is, because it's a different part of Jambudweep. It's not on this earth planet, but it's part of Jambudweep. For those of you that like Vedic cosmology, I'll just keep it really simple. It's one of the mountains on this central island that's part of the entire Bhumandala. Jambudweep is the central island, and then there's dweepas that go out and out and out, circular islands with oceans in between. And Jambudweep is the one that has the big golden Sumeru mountain in the middle. And there's 9 Varshas, and Shimali Dweep is a mountain, an island in one of those Varshas, 9 Varshas. There's more detail. You can read the 5th canto and you'll get more detail. But it's not, you can't go there from, the Earth planet, from Bharatvarsha. You can't get there. But that's where Dronachala was residing. And Giriraj descended as his son, Dronachala. And one time, Palashchamuni, you see him pictured in the top. Palashchamuni, a great yogi, that hails from Kashi, he was using his mystic powers to travel throughout the whole of Jambudweep, and he came across Dronachala and his son, Giriraj. And he became very, very attracted because there's no such mountain in Kashi. So he asked his father, a Brahmana asked a mountain, please, I ask one gift from you. He didn't say what it was. And he said, sure, whatever you ask. You're a great Brahmana. I'd like your son to come with me to Kashi so I can engage in my austerities there. And Drona was caught. Something like Dasarath saying to Vishwamitra, yes, whatever you like. I want your sons to come with me. So he was too attached. But he didn't want to say no, and he didn't want to say yes, so he turned to his son. This is Garga Samhita. And Giriraj said, yeah, I'll accompany you, and I'll make it so that you can easily lift me, but on one condition, wherever you send me down, that's it. I won't go any further. And Palashya said, that's fine. And he lifted Giriraj, as you see in the top part of the painting, and he's traveling. Now, some paintings, the next painting you can see, he's walking, and another painting, he's like Hanuman carrying a big mountain in the air. Whichever it was, he was heading back for Kashi. And as he was traveling and traveling and traveling, Giriraj recognized we're passing over Vrindavan. And he wanted to be with Krishna in Vrindavan. And so by divine arrangement, Palashya had to answer the call of nature. And you know what that's like. You've got to answer the call of nature when the call of nature calls. So he set Giriraj down, answered the call of nature, came back, and he tried to lift Govardhan, and Govardhan wouldn't lift. And Govardhan said, well, you made your pledge that I would not be moved once you set me down. And then Palashya, being a great sage, he understood the motivation. You tricked me. You wanted to come here and be where Krishna is going to appear later. And so I curse you that you will shrink every day the size of one mustard seed. Now in Garga Samhita, it gives the dimension that Giriraj was at that time. And really big. But it gives it in yojanas, so it's been converted into kilometers. But Giriraj was 2 yojanas tall, which is 16 miles. 1 yojana is 8 miles. You ever seen a mountain that's 8 miles tall, 16 miles tall? Have you ever seen such a mountain? Never seen such. I mean, how high do planes fly? You know, it's so many times the height of a plane. It's a big mountain, shrinking, shrinking, and presently, Giriraj is at the tallest part. It's 80 feet tall and diminishing. Now, some say it's because of the curse of Pulasya, and some say it's because of feeling separation from Krishna. Here's Pulasya walking, carrying Govardhan Hill. So that's how Govardhan appeared in Vrindavan. And how important is Govardhan? For the Brijvasis, if you were to be asked the question, who is the best of Krishna's devotees? Most ISKCON devotees would say probably Radharani or the gopis. Maybe someone knows how much Balaram likes to serve, and Balaram is the best of servants. But as far as the gopis are concerned, Govardhan is the best of servants. Here's what they say. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the gopis are praying to Govardhan. Oh, my friends, this hill supplies Krishna and Balaram, along with their calves, cows, and cowherd friends, all kinds of necessities. Water for drinking, very soft grass, caves, fruits, flowers, and vegetables. In this way, the hill offers respects to the Lord. By service, the hill is offering respects to the Lord. There's a very similar statement made, this is right in the Bhagavatam, and the very similar statement made by Shukadeva Goswami about Krishna when Krishna was just 6, at the end of the Dhenukasura story. He's killed Dhenuka and he's coming back to the village, and the boys are singing about Krishna's activities. And just then, the whole situation with the gopis begins. 6. And Krishna's looking at them, and they're looking at Krishna, and they're bashful. At the same time, they're eager. They have these conflicting emotions in relation to Krishna, and smiling. And Krishna smiles, and they see Krishna smile, and so they smile even more. And the verse says that Shukadeva Goswami says that Krishna accepted their glances and their smiles as appropriate service unto him, because the indication was they wanted to be with him. And just wanting to be with him, Krishna accepted as a service. So Govardhan is being accepted by the gopis as best of servants because he's serving Krishna all the time in all possible ways. Here's some caves. Radha and Krishna are seated together on a flat stone. We're going to hear about the flat stones also. But caves, when it's very, very hot in the summer, it's cool in the caves. Or when it's cold in the winter, it's moderate in the caves. And when it's raining, the caves are a good place for the cowherd boys and for Radha and Krishna. Govardhan also features soft roots for eating, the gopis say. Jewels for ornamenting the body, and flat places for sitting. There you see Govardhan in the background. There's Radha and Krishna enjoying together, sitting on one of those sitting places, flat places. Here's another. You see the cows grazing on the hill of Govardhan? Yeah. Can some of the overhead lights go down? Because you can probably then see the screen better. That would be nice. One more. Okay, great. Now comes the closing of the deity curtain. Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Jai. there's the hill of Govardhan, and at the very, very top, at the very top, there's this white building. Oh, gosh. Help. There we go. The white building at the top, that's later it became, much later it became, the temple of Srinachi, or Gopal Giridhari. That's what it's intended, I think, by the artist. So it's a very nice place for Radha and Krishna's pastimes. In this way, the hill offers respects to the Lord, respect in the form of service. Thus, Krishna, in the form of Govardhan Hill, shows how to render pure devotional service. So here it's very interesting. Krishna, the Govardhan is simultaneously Krishna and Krishna's devotee. So some people worship Govardhan Shilas, and they worship Govardhan Shilas as Krishna. They place a crown, they place a flute, and the paraphernalia of Krishna by the side of Krishna. And some worship Govardhan Shilas as a devotee, a great devotee of Krishna. And both are correct, because he's both. Here's an aerial photograph of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is sometimes compared to a peacock. You heard that before? Peacock. So the big middle torso of the peacock is right there in the middle. That's the Govardhan town. And going down to the left, that's the tail of the peacock. Imagine the peacock is perched on a branch of a tree and the tail is drooping down. And then there's the long neck part of the peacock. And at the very, very top is the head of the peacock with two eyes. And the two eyes are Radhakund and Shyamakund. So this pastime of the Govardhan Leela occurs right after, immediately the same day as this pastime depicted here. This is the wives of the Brahmanas who came to offer food to Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys. You know that pastime. Because of time constraints, I'm not going to narrate the pastime. But after Krishna exchanges with the wives of the Brahmanas, they have their lunch. And now it's time for the next pastime. And the next pastime, Krishna is continuing along the side of Govardhan Hill and sees his father, Nanda Maharaj, along with many elders and many Brahmanas. And they're engaging in setting up a big festival, a big yajna. So he asks his father very directly. You see the paraphernalia in the front left of this painting. What's the purpose of this yajna? Is this yajna something that's enjoined in the Vedas, or is it a family tradition? Meaning, there's less weight for something that's a family tradition, but if it's enjoined in the Vedas, then it's compulsory. So which is it? Then he asks, what's the purpose? If it's enjoined in the Vedas, what's the purpose? Because if you do something in spiritual life without knowing the purpose of that something, you're not going to get the full benefit. So, please tell me what's the purpose, and don't hold back anything, because it's the duty of the father to teach and to instruct the son. And I'm counting on you. Please give this nice explanation. So his father gives the explanation that it's a sacrifice performed for Indra, because we're cowherds, we're dependent upon the rain, and there's been ample rain, so there's nice grass and crop production for our agricultural work. And so we want to give back in gratitude to Indra. This is the purpose of the sacrifice. So Krishna argues or gives a counter understanding. Since Lord Indra cannot in any way change the destiny of living beings, which is born of their nature, why should people worship him? Now, I'm not going to go into the detail, but the essence of his is a long explanation, but the explanation is an atheistic explanation. It's called Karma Kanda in technical terms. And Karma Kanda means, it really doesn't matter whether there's God or not. Really? Yeah, because destiny or your karma determines your good fortune or your ill fortune. So just do good karma. You don't need to worship anybody. If there's somebody that gives your karma, well, they're bound by something higher than them. That's the law of karma. So do good karma, and that's sufficient. That's the karma kanda logic. No need for worship, just do good karma. So Krishna is giving an atheistic argument to his father. And his father says, well, tell you what, let's use half of it for Indra and the other half we'll do like you're saying. You know what Krishna wants? Everything. May a sacrifice for the pleasure of the cows, the brahmanas, and Govardhan Hill begin with all the paraphernalia collected for worshipping Indra. Let this sacrifice be performed instead. Now his purpose is to curb the pride of Indra. Knowingly he's speaking like this because he knows what's going to happen. Indra's going to get irritated. And Indra gets really irritated. Let many different kinds of food be cooked, like this. From sweet rice to vegetable soups, many kinds of fancy cakes, both baked and fried, should be prepared. And let all the available milk products be taken for this sacrifice. Anukut, a big pile of offerings unto the cows, the brahmanas, and Govardhan Hill. The brahmanas who are learned in Vedic mantras must properly invoke the sacrificial fires. Then you should feed the priests with nicely prepared food and reward them with cows and other gifts after giving food to everyone else, including such fallen souls as dogs and dog eaters. Now, there were no dog eaters in Vrindavan. There were no dog eaters in Vrindavan. But the idea is, without discrimination, everyone should be fed. Everyone. You should give grass to the cows and then present your respectful offerings to Govardhan Hill. Feed everybody, starting with the brahmanas, then all the living entities, and make your offerings to Govardhan Hill. After everyone has eaten to his satisfaction, you should all dress and decorate yourselves handsomely, and then circumambulate the cows, brahmanas, and sacrificial fires, and Govardhan Hill. This was the first Govardhan Parikrama. It's a very nice painting. See Krishna pointing at the hill, Nanda behind him, Balaram by his side, and the elders are ready to do what their beloved Krishna is suggesting. Here in this painting it shows Nanda performing Abhishek of Govardhan Hill. The cowherd community did all that Madhusudana had suggested. They arranged for the brahmanas to recite auspicious Vedic mantras, and using the paraphernalia that had been intended for Indra's sacrifice, they presented offerings to Govardhan Hill and the brahmanas with reverential respect. They went to the Goshala and gave grass to the cows. They it's like serving prasadam. Have them all in rows, lined up to get their grass. And the Goshala looks like a palace. Then, placing the cows, bulls, and calves in front of them, they circumambulated Govardhan Hill. There's another nice drawing of the Goshala feeding the cows. Down below, they're milking the cows for the purpose of the yajna. as the beautifully ornamented cowherd ladies followed along, riding on wagons drawn by oxen, they sang the glories of Lord Krishna, and their songs mingled with the Brahmanas chanting of benedictions. There on the right side, the Brahmanas are reciting their mantras and offering oblations into the fire, and it's a nice accompaniment. The simple cowherd families singing Krishna's glories, and the Brahmanas reciting their mantras. And now it's time for the big Anukut. This painting is showing the offerings, piles of rice, piles of rotis and everything, cakes and pies and vegetables and everything in all variety. This photograph is the area of Govardhan where the Anukut was set up. Those of you that have been to Vrindavan, you'll recognize this area. It's called Anior, and it's about 1.5 to 2 miles long. It's very, very big. Very, very big. And this is the area where the offering, the Anukut, was set up. You know, some temples, like here, so many different offerings, however many the number is. But, you know, the Brijbasis, they went all out. They filled up the whole area with big offerings. Krishna then assumed an unprecedented, huge form to instill faith in the cowherd men, declaring, I am Govardhan mountain. So there's Bbt Painting with Govardhan in the background, Lord Hari in the foreground, and down in the front is the Brahmanas making their yajna offerings, and Krishna going to make his obeisances before Lord Hari in his forearm form and offering everything to Lord Hari. And Krishna showing his own example. See, it wasn't just a little child's story. Look at this. Here's Lord Hari accepting our offerings. Just see how this hill has appeared in person. Forearm form. And bestowing mercy on us. And then what happened? Sri Hari ate everything. All that was put in front of him. For that whole big stretch of Govardhan Hill, he ate everything. And then what happened? He said, I want more. I want more. And in the local language, it's Anior. Anior. And the Brijbasis didn't know what to do because they had gathered everything and made their offerings of everything. So they looked at each other and went back to their storerooms and gathered what they could. They cooked up what they could, and they made an offering to Lord Hari, who ate everything, second time, and said it again, Anior, Anior. What to do? They went to the faraway villages and brought it, the same thing happened again. Anior. They consulted the Brahmanas. What should we do? Balaram interrupted. Here's what you do. Give him 1 tulsi leaf and he'll be satisfied. So that was the trick. When you make your offerings, make sure you put your tulsi leaf on with each of the items that you offer to Krishna, and he'll be very satisfied. Meanwhile, Indra became very irritated. Indra understood that his sacrifice had been put aside. He became furious at Nanda, that this little boy, talkative boy, has interrupted my yajna. So what did Indra do?
Go to the Bluetooth menu on your mobile device and select it from the list. No device connected.
Okay. It was working before. There's some sound connected. Let's see what happens. There we go. That's a thunder, by the way. Indra sent forth the clouds of universal destruction known as Samvartaka. There are different clouds, but Samvartaka is especially dispatched at the time of universal destruction. What is that? At the time of universal destruction, there's a sequence of three things. At the end of the day of Brahma, there's a partial devastation, and it goes like this. For a long, many years, hundreds of years, complete drought. Everything's dry. And then, from the bottom of the universe, there's a fire. Lord Shiva does his dance, and the fire grows, engulfing the lower planetary systems in fire and just becomes ashes. And then the third is in the inundation of the Samvartaka cloud, and all those ashes become dissolved. And that water rises up to and including the heavenly planets. The planets that just above the heavenly planets, it's too hot, Maharloka, so they go to Janaloka and Tapaloka till the next day of Brahma begins, because it's too hot. And then at the beginning of Brahma's morning, the water subsides. Brahma wakes up, does his sadhana, and reconstructs the universe up to and including the heavenly planets. And that happens every day of his life. So Samvartaka is very useful at that time of universal devastation. But Indra was so angry that he sent Samvartaka at this time. Imagining himself supreme, Indra told the clouds, "Go and remove their pride and bring their animals to destruction." Killing. I will follow you riding on my elephant and taking with me powerful wind gods to disseminate the cowherd village of Nanda Maharaj. Angry. Anger is not good. On Indra's order, the clouds of universal destruction, released untimely from their bonds, went to the cowherd pastures of Nanda Maharaj. There they began to torment the inhabitants by powerfully pouring down torrents of rain upon them. That drawing is the Samvartaka cloud, by the way. And he's raining heavy rains. And Indra's up there with his thunderbolt, and the sun's hiding behind a cloud saying, "What's going on here? Doesn't look right." Clouds blazed with lightning bolts and roared with thunder as they hurled down hailstones. As the clouds released torrents of rain as thick as massive columns, the earth was submerged in the flood. High ground could no longer be distinguished from low ground. The cows and other animals shivering from the excessive rain and wind, and the cowherd men and ladies pained by the cold, all approached Lord Govinda for shelter. He's just a little boy. He's 7 years old. One of you two boys is the one. How old is the one in your lap? How old? 6? How old is he? How old are you? How old is the son in your lap? Say it out loud. 6. 6? Okay. Next year you can lift Govardhan Hill, okay? Good luck. So they're looking to a 7-year-old boy to protect them. Krishna, Krishna! Oh, most fortunate one, please deliver the cows from the wrath of Indra. Their first thought goes to the cows. Oh Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees, please save us also. Because they're cowherd, their first thought is more than themselves is the cows. That's Vrindavan. The cows and other animals shivering from the excessive rain and wind, they asked for shelter. Seeing the inhabitants of his Gokula, rendered practically unconscious by the onslaught of hail and blasting wind, the Supreme Lord Hari understood this was the work of Indra. And he began to consider, since the demigods are endowed with the mode of goodness, the false pride of considering oneself the Lord should certainly not affect them. But he understands it has affected Indra. His pride has become too much. Here's a little explanation about pride. It's like a math formula, okay? The fruits of piety plus a heart that's impure equals pride. I'll do it again. The fruits of piety plus a heart that's impure equals pride. So to go to heaven, you have to be very pious. But you can't be a pure devotee because you'll go back to the spiritual world. So you have fruits of piety plus a heart that's not yet pure, there's going to be pride. What to speak of the King of Heaven? He is the most pious, and his heart's not pure. So there's pride. And when there's pride, you can do bad stuff. Like what Indra's doing. He's planning to destroy Nanda Maharaj, the cows, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Bad. And you see the inundation coming down, and people are flooding all over the place. Krishna's lifting the hill, inviting them to come underneath. And look closely, almost at the center of the painting, there's Sudarshan Chakra. See it? And Sudarshan Chakra is moving swiftly around Govardhan Hill to dry up the water. So when they go underneath the Govardhan Hill, they'll remain dry. Pretty clever. Now later we're going to hear there's another explanation, but that's what's in this painting. Sri Krishna said to himself, because we have stopped his sacrifice, Indra has caused this unusually fierce, unseasonable rain, together with terrible winds and hail. Now this is the time of year. It's not the rainy season like this in Vrindavan. I mean, it's 4 months of the rainy season, but it's not like this. Not in Vrindavan. By my mystic power, I will completely counteract this disturbance caused by Indra. When I break the false prestige of those bereft of goodness, my purpose is to bring them relief. This is very important. When Krishna gives someone some trouble, have you ever been troubled? Have you ever been troubled? Is your heart pure? And if your heart's not pure and you get troubled, remember this. Krishna may be giving you trouble for the purpose of bringing you relief from pride, or the heart that has become proud because the heart is not yet pure. That could be the reason. I must therefore protect the cowherd community by my transcendental potency, for I am their shelter. I am their master. And indeed, they are my own family. After all, I have taken a vow to protect my devotees. With my mystic power, I will protect the people of Braja, who have taken shelter of me, who consider me their Lord, and who are my relatives. This is my vow. So Krishna makes a plan. Sometimes Krishna makes a difficult situation on purpose because he likes finding a clever solution to the difficult situation. So Krishna picked up the hill as easily as a child holds up a mushroom. It's called in the Bhagavatam a frog's umbrella, as a mushroom. The Lord then addressed the cowherd community. "O mother, O father, O residents of Braja, if you wish, you may now come under this hill with your cows." And so they're coming with their cows, because the cows are very dear to the cowherds. There's the torrents of rain coming down the side of Govardhan Hill, lightning bolts striking the side of Govardhan Hill. And there's many, too many paintings to select from. I'm not even moving the slide, it's just so many images. You saw that image before. And there's many others. Krishna's lifting Govardhan Hill. Here they are coming out from the flooding water, and they're helping the ladies and each other get under the hill. And notice that Krishna is standing on top of something. That's because he's only 7 years old, and everybody is pretty much taller than him, so he has to stand on a little hill so he can hold the hill up, and it's over their heads. And torrents of rain coming down, but everyone's safe. Not only they're safe, by continually drinking the nectar of the beauty and sweetness of Sri Krishna, the resident of Vrindavan felt no hunger, thirst, or fatigue. And Lord Krishna, by seeing their beautiful forms, also forgot about eating, drinking, and sleeping for 7 days. They're really ecstatic. I mean, there's so many paintings. I had to select a few. This one you saw already also. "You should have no fear that this mountain will fall from my hand, and don't be afraid of the wind and rain, for your deliverance from these afflictions has already been arranged." Just by hearing Krishna's reassuring words, they become very happy. Their minds thus pacified by Lord Krishna, they all entered beneath the hill, where they found ample room for themselves and all their cows, wagons, servants, and priests, and for all other members of the community as well. So question, how'd they all fit? 900,000 cows, and all the cowherd boys to attend the cows, and all the adults and everything, the wagons. Lord Krishna held up the mountain while his praises were chanted by the residents of Braja, all of whom now had the opportunity to dwell together with him, and who glanced at him with joyful and amazed eyes. Thus the cowherd men and women were elated, and out of loving affection they opened their eyes wide. So the explanation is going to be given. The mountain expanded just by Krishna's touch. That's how everybody fit. In this painting, we see Indra up in the upper right corner, riding his Airavata, trying to destroy the residents of Vrindavan, and Krishna is protecting them. Krishna's lifting of Govardhan Hill is full of fascinating details, and has for thousands of years remained one of his most famous pastimes. That's why there's so many paintings. Here's a Bbt painting where Nanda Maharaj is using his cane, holding up the hill. Nanda Maharaj is thinking, this little boy, he's thinking he's holding up the hill. But it's me and my friends who are holding up the hill with our sticks for the cows. Hearing that, Krishna started to lower the hill, and it started to shake. And Nanda Maharaj could understand it's Krishna holding up the hill, not us. There's another nice description where Krishna, out of the corner of his eyes, was looking at the gopis, and the gopis were looking at him. And Balaram saw that exchange, and he started laughing. And Krishna knew that he knew why he was laughing. So Krishna began to blush. Because normally the pastime between Krishna and the gopis is not in a public situation. But in this case it was. Another ISKCON devotee painting where there's Radha on a throne and the gopis are singing, enjoying the pastime with Krishna. Ordinarily, a large cowherd community, which included many thousands of cows, 900,000 cows, calves, bulls, and so on, could not fit under the base of a medium-sized hill like Sri Govardhan. However, because the hill was in ecstasy, being touched by the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it acquired inconceivable powers and even felt the hundreds of deadly thunderbolts thrown on its back by angry Indra to be offerings of soft, fragrant flowers. There you see Indra and his elephant up in the upper left corner of the painting. At times, Sri Govardhan was not even aware of the thunderbolts that were striking. In Harivamsa, there's a nice statement made by Krishna himself, saying, Govardhan, what to speak of the residents of Vrindavan, it can give shelter to the three worlds. Because Govardhan is Krishna, who can give shelter to the three worlds, by Krishna's arrangement. When Indra's attack began, and Krishna lifted the hill, on the hill there was animals, deer, wild hogs, other animals, birds standing on the hill's flanks, climbed up to its peaks, and even they did not experience the slightest distress. The inhabitants of Vrindavan and their animals remained there for 1 week without being disturbed by hunger, thirst, or any other discomfort. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has a different opinion. Rather than the Sudarshan Chakra, he says that the water didn't go underneath the hill just by Krishna's potencies. His willed, the water would not come, and so it didn't come. That's sufficient. Anyway, so many paintings of Krishna's celebrated pastime. And now comes the conclusion. When Indra observed this exhibition of Lord Krishna's mystic power, he became most astonished. That painting up in the corner of this little section, that's Indra with his thunderbolt. Pulled down from his platform of false pride and his intentions thwarted, he ordered his clouds to desist. So you see in the bottom right, there's Indra prostrating himself before Krishna. Behind him is his Airavata elephant. And you see on top of Govardhan Hill, the clouds are parting and the sun is beginning to shine. So we're going to hear again some music. This is the birds chirping in the morning. There's birds chirping. It's morning time. My dear cowherd men, please go out with your wives, children, and possessions. Give up your fear. The wind and rain have stopped, and the river's high waters have subsided. The residents of Vrindavan, overwhelmed with ecstatic love, came forward to greet Krishna according to their individual relationships. Demigods sang his praises and showered flowers. That's what's in the background, is flowers coming down. A great universal festival took place. Demigods played their conch shells and kettle drums and began to sing. So the pastime has concluded. When all living creatures looked on, the Supreme Personality of Godhead put down the hill in its original place, just as it had stood before. Again, that white structure up on top of Govardhan Hill, that's the temple that for many years was the place where Gopal Giridhari was worshipped. Surrounded by his loving cowherd boyfriends and Lord Balaram, Krishna then went off to the place where he had been tending his cows. The cowherd girls returned to their homes. singing joyfully about the lifting of Govardhan Hill and other glorious deeds performed by Lord Krishna, who had so deeply touched their hearts. Now, how are we doing with time? There's a remaining section that's Indra's prayers, but I think I've passed my time limit. 7:20. Go ahead. 5 minutes. In Indian, 5 minutes. Okay. After Krishna had lifted Govardhan Hill and thus protected the inhabitants of Raja from the terrible rainfall, Surabhi, the mother of the cows, came from her planet to see Krishna. She was accompanied by Indra. So what's the planet of Surabhi? What's that? It's not Goloka, because Indra, after this problem, Indra went to the chief priest of the demigods, Brihaspati, right? Brihaspati. And Brihaspati said, Indra, you did it again. You do these things, you get carried away. So I don't recommend you go back and make your apology to Krishna, because he may not even listen to you. But if you bring someone who is very dear to Krishna, then Krishna will become softer, because you made a big offense. Tried to kill the Brijvasis. So Indra liked the idea. There's a planet, now our acharyas describe, there's a planet in the heavenly realm where Surabhi cows are situated. There's the upper spiritual Surabhi cows in the spiritual realm, and as above, so below, right? So there's Surabhi cows in the heavenly realm. And that's where Indra went. Surabhi accompanied him, and seeing Surabhi, Krishna was very pleased. Indra offered his obeisances before Krishna, very ashamed of having made this offense. They went together. Bhagavatam specifically says they went to a solitary place to, preserve the dignity of Indra, and he fell at the Lord's feet. Indra had now heard of and seen the transcendental power of omnipotent Krishna, and his false pride in being the Lord of the three worlds was thus defeated. So here's his prayers. Your transcendental form, a manifestation of pure goodness, is undisturbed by change, shining with knowledge, and devoid of passion and ignorance. In you does not exist the mighty flow of the modes of material nature, which is based on illusion and ignorance. It's a beautiful painting. This is Airavata performing Abhishek of Krishna. Probably didn't happen at the same time Indra was speaking, but that's what the painting shows. How then could there exist in you the symptom of an ignorant person, such as greed, lust, anger, and envy, which are produced by one's previous involvement in material existence, and which cause one to become further entangled in material existence? And yet, as the Supreme Lord, you impose punishment, because Indra's been punished. He's been punished. So please don't be angry with me. That's the first part. And your punishment is meant for the protection of religious principles and to curb down the wicked. So I've been wicked. You've curbed me. Thank you. And accept that was your purpose. You are the Father and spiritual master of this entire universe, and also the supreme controller. You are insurmountable time, imposing punishment upon the sinful for their benefit, as he has been punished for his benefit. Indeed, in your various incarnations selected by your own free will, you act decisively to remove the false pride of those who presume themselves master of this world, namely himself. He is very clear. What has just happened was the intended purpose of Krishna, to remove his pride. He's been humiliated, and that was good for his benefit. Even fools like me who proudly think themselves universal lords quickly give up their conceit and directly take to the path of the spiritually progressive when they see you are the fearless, you are fearless even in the face of time. Thus you punish the mischievous only to instruct them. And so I'm going to skip forward. You descend into this world, O transcendental Lord, to destroy the warlords who burden the earth and create many terrible disturbances, O Lord. You simultaneously act for the welfare of those who faultlessly serve your lotus feet, which he did for the residents of Braja. This is another Bbt painting. You see up in the sky, there's demigods showering flowers. Airavata's dousing Krishna with his celestial waters. And in short, he's requesting forgiveness. Having appealed to Lord Krishna, Mother Surabhi performed his bathing ceremony with her own milk. That's on the right, that's Surabhi bathing Krishna. And when Surabhi bathed Krishna with her own milk, she spoke to Krishna saying, this person over here, Indra, he's not really our Indra. You are our Indra. You're our Lord. And most of the acharyas speak this way. Surabhi is the one that gave the name Govinda to Krishna. Govinda, one who gives protection to the goes, to the cows. And there's another version right here that says Indra gave that title. Ordered by Deity and other mothers of the demigods, Airavata was carrying water from the celestial Ganges and bathed Krishna. So he's getting two baths, Surabhi and Airavatas. In the company of the demigods and great sages, Indra coronated Lord Krishna and gave him the name Govinda. So here's a painting of Indra. He is one of the chief characters that gets a lot of mercy and by his pride, gave a lot of mercy to the resident of Vrindavan, and a nice image of Govardhan Hill, Govardhan Shila, decorated by Tulsis. So I'm going to end there. I've gone beyond my limit of time. And you're all very patient, and most of you, almost all of you, are still with your masks on. So if you don't have your mask on, please keep your mask on, because we don't want somebody having a COVID problem and then having to close the temple. That would be really bad. So thank you. Sorry to make that kind of a statement, but we have to be careful given the circumstance. Look how packed up we are. Gosh. You can't see the screen from over there. Can you see the screen? Kind of. Okay. Okay. Well, visuals make a lot of difference. I mean, yeah, they make a lot of difference. A little sharing. Once upon a time, 53 years ago, I was a new devotee. And the temple that I joined was in Boston. The reason I joined in Boston is because I had visited in Boston to see about attending a graduate school in Boston. When I was there, I visited the temple. And the temple was so fantastic. I kind of completed my undergraduate studies and took a leave of absence and went to the Boston Temple. And in the Boston Temple, there was no BBT at that time. It was just one entity, ISKCON Press. And so everybody that did anything for book publication was under the banner of ISKCON Press, and they all lived together. We all lived together in one single family building. It was a big building, but it was packed up with devotees. And in the building were the artists. The artists had the privilege of receiving the audio cassettes of Prabhupada's new books. They would sit together, hear the cassette, and then conceive of what paintings they would draw to illustrate Prabhupada's teachings from his books. And then they had the following process. Bhardraj made the conceptual drawings, Jadharani filled it in, and Muralidhar went in and put in all the details, all the jewels and the ornaments and the this and that, the finished work. And so I used to go, I wasn't supposed to, I used to go and watch them after Sankirtan, sit at their feet, watch them make the paintings, and narrate the Krishna stories. And it's here. So visuals are still with me. That's a little explanation of why all these paintings. And it could be simpler, but this Govardhan Leela is so famous and so loved. So I included a lot of paintings. And pictures speak 1,000 words. So next time, try to sit over this side so you can see the paintings. It's nice. Thank you very much. I've gone past my time. So who's going to take the microphone from here? You got your own. Okay. Go ahead. I'll just shut it off.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for this wonderful presentation. So we can offer that. So we'll continue with the program. Now we will have the Govardhan Puja, and devotees, they can circumambulate Govardhan. But because of COVID concerns, we request you to please keep safe distance and come in batches of a few devotees. Few devotees can take one circle, go out, and let others come in and take the parikrama. So please maintain that distance so we can, we can protect everyone. Thank you so much. So.
Sri Govardhan Dari ki.
After this, there is
Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Giriraj, Giriraj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Giriraj, Giriraj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Govinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya 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 Oh Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Oh Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda 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 Radhe 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 Govinda Radhe 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 Govinda Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare By now how much more Hare Krishna oh. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Okay, everybody, raise your arms, raise your arms. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna. No, they cut the sound there. That one's finished. Jaya Radha Damodara Radha Damodara Sri Radhe. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Sri Radhe. Jaya Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Kishore Kishori Jaya Sri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada. बोलो श्री गिरिराज महाराज की श्री महाराज की श्री गिरिराज स्वामी की निताई गौरा प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल.
Hare Krishna. So everybody please keep moving, keep moving. The prasadam here will be taken outside and will be distributed outside. So don't stand here, please keep moving. Other people also want to do the parikrama, so please keep moving. So now we will have Damodar Ashtakam here, so please keep moving. Can you play Kartal?
जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् दशकुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमानम् नमामीश्वरम् नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपा दशकुण्डलं गोकुले व्रजमान नमः यशोदा विलोलुकलादवमाना परमेश्वमात्यन्त दुरुतगोप्य यशोदा विलोलुकलादवमानम् परमेष्टमात्यन्तो दुरुतगोप्य यशो रुद्रं तमोहुर्नेत्रं युग्नं मृजान्ता करं भुजयुग्मेन
सन्तङ्कनेत्रयुग्ममृजान्तं करम्भोजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रम्
मुहुश्वासकम्पान्त्रियेकान्तकान्ता श्रितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबान्धा
मोहुश्वासकां पात्ररेकङ्ककण्ठा स्थितग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिबाधा
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
इति सलीलाभ्रि आनन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषनिमार्जन्तमप्यकयन्त
इति द्रक्ष्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमार्जन्तमाख्यापयन्तम्
तदीयेषिताग्नेषु भक्ते जितात्मा पुनः प्रेमतास्तं सता वृत्तिबन्धे
तदीयसिताङ्गेषु भक्तजितात्वाम् पुनः प्रेमतास्तां शतावृत्तिवन्दे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
वरं देवमुक्तिप्रदायकं मोक्षं वा मोक्षं वदिं वा गच्छान्यं प्रणेयं वा वेशपदीह
वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरे सदपीह
इदं देवं पूर्णाथ गोपालबालम् सदा मनस्य वीरसां किमन्ये
इदं देवपुरनाथ गोपालबालां सदा मे मनस्य वीरास्तं किमन्ये
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
इदं ते मोकम्बोजमत्यन्तनीर्लय वृत्तां कुण्डलै सिज्ञ रक्षस्य गोप्या इदं ते
मत्यन्तनीलै वृतां कुन्तलै स्निग्धरक्तस्य गोप्या
मोहशुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरामि मनसवीरासमालं लक्ष्यलाभे
मोहश्चुम्बितां बिम्बरक्तधरां मे मनस्य विरास्तामालं लक्ष्यलाभे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
नमो देव दामोदर आनंद विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलाभिमाज्ञा
नमो देव दामोदरानन्त विष्णु प्रसीद प्रभो दुःख जलब्धिमाज्ञा
कृपादेशि विश्रान्ति दीनां बतानो गृहनिशमामज्ञमे कक्षिदेश
कृपा दृष्टि वृष्ट्याति दीनाम्बतानु गृहाणे समामाज्ञा मे दक्षिदृश्या
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
कुबेरात्मजो भक्तमुतैव यत्वा स्वयमुचितो भक्ति भजौ कृतौ च
कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमुत्यैव यद्वत् त्वयामोचितौ भक्तिभाजौ कृतौ च
तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वतां मे प्रयच्छ नमो शीघ्रहो मे दामोदरे
तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामि प्रयच्छ नमो शीघ्रहो मे दामोदरे
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
नमस्तेस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरतिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय विश्वस्य धाम्ने
नमस्तेस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोधरायाथ विश्वस्य धाम्ने
नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यः
नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यः
नमो राधिकाय त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्दलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यः
नमो राधिकायै त्वदीया प्रियाय नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यः
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jai Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radhe Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadra Jayo Kishore Kishori Jayo Kishore Kishori Jayo Kishore Kishori Jayo Kishore Kishori
Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori Jaya Kishore Kishori.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar Ki
बोले गिरिराज महाराज की जय।